There it goes. It's now live. Cool. Technology works or doesn't. There's no very much in between. Not too much. All right, so we'll begin our service on page 6. Page 6, Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei El Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Malachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boechem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei El Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Malachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu ni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei El Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Malachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seitchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei El Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Malachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We continue on page 7 with the responsive reading. Come, let us welcome Shabbat.
May its radiance illumine our hearts.
Light is the symbol of the divine.
The eternal light and my salvation.
Light is the symbol of the divine within us.
The human spirit is the light of the eternal.
Light is the symbol of the divine law.
The minister is the lamp and the Torah light.
Light is the symbol of Israel's mission.
I, the eternal, made you a common people, a light to the nations.
I'd like to invite Robin up to light our Shabbos candles. Not the torch today. Unfortunately, I couldn't find it, but we do have some matches up there. There should be up there. Yeah.
Yeah, how well I do.
The torch was pretty cool, though. I don't know where it went. We'll find it.
I think they kind of put it away.
It's dangerous, yes. Yeah, it's probably it is very dangerous, I can say. Being a kid at one time and having a small one. Yeah.
Good job.
Shekayach.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahat l'kner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
May the Eternal bless us with Shabbat joy.
Amen.
May the Eternal bless us with Shabbat peace.
Amen.
May the Eternal bless us with Shabbat holiness.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you. It's Shabbos. Continue on page 9 with Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi likra kala yedadai 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 Penei Shabbat Nikabela Lecha Dodi likra kala yedadai 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 Penei Shabbat Nikabela Shamor Bezachor B'dibor Echad Hishmianu El Hamuchad Adonai Echad U'Shemo Echad L'Shem Multiferet V'Litehila Lechadoi Dili Grakala Yedadai 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 Penei Shabbat Nekabela Lechadoi Dili Grakala Yedadai 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 Penei Shabbat Nekabela Ligrat Shabbat Lechu V'Nelcha Ki hi mikor habracha mirosh mikedem nesuka sof maaseh b'makshva tehila lechaydoi dili grakala yedadai 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 penei Shabbat nekabela lechaydoi dili grakala yedadai 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 penei Shabbat nekabela Hid ori, kiva orech, kumi ori, Uri, Uri, Shir Daberi, Kavod Adonai, Alai Negila, Lechai Doidili, Grakala, Yeredai, 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 Pene Shabbat, Nekavela, Lechai Doidili, Grakala, Yeredai, 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 Pene Shabbat, Nekavela. We now rise and face the entrance or exit. Boi v'shalom atzeret ba'ala, gam b'simcha uv'tzola, toch emune am sigula, boi kala, lechai doidi likra kala, yeredai, 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 pene Shabbat, nekavela, lechai doidi likra kala, yeredai, 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 Pene Shabbat Nekabela. Remain standing for the Hatzi Kaddish on page 11. Hatzi Kaddish is on page 11. Yitkadal ve'yitkadash Shemei Rabba Be'almadi rachirute b'yamich malchute B'chayechon uvyomechon Upayedecho Beit Yisrael Ba'agala Ubizman Kariv V'yemeru Amen Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevorach Le'olam Elomei Elmaya Yitbarach Yitbarach Vayishtabach Vayitpa'ar V'yitraman V'yitnaseh V'yithadar, v'yithaleh, v'yithalal, Shemei Kudasha B'rechu, Le'ela Mikol Birchata V'shirata, Tushbechata V'nechemata, Damiran V'alma, V'yemeru, Amen. Remain standing for the Baruch Hu on page 12. Baruch Hu et Adonai, Hamevorach. Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Va'ed. Continue on page 13 in the italicized text together. Eternal God, your majesty is proclaimed by the marvels of earth and sky. Sun, moon, and stars testify to your power and wisdom. Day follows day in endless succession, and the years vanish, but your sovereignty endures. Though all things pass, let not your glory depart from us. Help us to become co-workers with you and endow our fleeting days with abiding worth. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. Blessed are you, O our Eternal, who brings on the evening. Continue on page 14 with the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. You may be seated for the V'ahavta on page 16. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha v'shinatan levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'beitecha Uletecha v'derech, u'shachlecha u'kumecha, u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot bein einecha, u'ktavtam al mizuzot beitecha, u'visharecha, leman tizkeru va'asitem ekol misotai, V'hitem kidoshim leilo lechem, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher hotzeti etchem, Mi'eretz Mitzrayim, Liot lachem Elohim, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem, Emet. We continue on page 17 with the responsive reading. Eternal truth is that you alone are God and there is none else.
May the righteous of all nations rejoice in your love and exalt in justice.
Let them beat their swords into plowshares.
Let them beat their spears into pruning hooks.
Let nation not lift up sword against nation. Let them study war no more.
You shall not hate another in your heart. You shall love your neighbor as yourself.
Let the stranger in your midst be as to you the native. From you were once strangers in the land of Egypt.
From the house of bondage, you went forth to freedom, so that all be free to sing with joy.
Continue on page 18. Mi chamocha b'alim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora teilot osei fele, malchutecha ra'u banecha bokei yam lifnei Moshe, zeli anu v'amru, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed, V'nemar kifada Adonai et Yaakov uglo miyad hazak mimenu baruch ata Adonai ga'al Yisrael. Continue on page 19 with the responsive reading. Cause us, O eternal our God, to lie down in peace and to awaken us each morning to renewed life and strength. Spread over us the holy shelter of your peace.
Help us to order our lives by your counsel, and lead us in the paths of righteousness. Be a shield about us, protecting us from making war, from pestilence and sorrow.
Curb also within us the inclination to do evil, and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Guard our going out and our coming into life and peace from this time forth and forever.
Blessed are you, O Eternal, whose holy shelter of peace spread over us, over all God's people of Israel, and over Jerusalem.
Continue on page 20 with Vishamru. Vishamru v'nehi Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'doretain b'ri olam. Vishamru v'nehi Yisrael et ha-Shabbat La'asot et ha-Shabbat le'doretain b'ri olam. B'nei u'bein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam, oti le'olam, oti le'olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat La'asot et ha-Shabbat le'doretain b'ri olam. Ki sheich yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim v'et ha'aretz v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'doretain b'ri olam. Ubayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'doretain b'ri olam. Now rise on page 21 for the standing Amidah prayer. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot, Umevi Geulah Lifnei B'neihem, Leman Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen. Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Bezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol Atah Rab Lechoshia. Marid Hatal, Mechakel Hayim Bechesed, Mechayeh HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Berofei Holim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Baal Kivurot, Umidom Elach, Melech Memid, Umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, Ne'eman Atah Lecha Hayot HaKol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechaye HaKol, Atah Kadosh Rishim HaKadosh Ukoshim B'chol Yom Yahalelucha Selah, Baruch Atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. You are holy, and your name is holy. The holy ones every day praise you forever. Blessed are you, O eternal, the holy God. We now daven silently until we join together on page 29. Now join together on page 29 for Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom bimramav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, imru, amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'yimeru, Amen. Good Shabbos, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. So we just completed our Torah reading, our last Torah reading from Numbers last week. And our final chapter of Numbers begins with describing that plague that diminished 3 to 4% of the Israelites just before entering into the Holy Land. Following these sets of traumatic experiences was the promise of redemption upon the arrival of the Israelites into the land of Israel that they've been promised by God. Last week's Torah portion left us at a bit of a cliffhanger in our story. The people of Israel, they stand poised to enter into the Holy Land. And as each of the tribes sharpened their spears in one hand and plowshares in the other, 3 of the 12 tribes of Israel, the tribes of Manasseh, Gad and Reuben, they decide to settle in the land just outside of the Promised Land, in the land east of the bank of the River Jordan. Moses reaches an agreement with 3 of these tribes that the tribes will work side by side with the other 9 tribes of Israel to take the Promised Land from its inhabitants, thus ensuring the land of Israel will be for its people. However, this week's Torah portion is the dramatic first part of the final book of the 5 books of Moses. We're in Parshat Devarim. For all the buildup of this moment in our previous chapters, you would imagine that the first thing that would happen in this week's Torah portion is that we finally enter into the land. You would think that our weapons and plowshares, they're finally sharp enough. After all, we stand poised to enter into the Promised Land, and we've waited on the mountains overlooking Israel in this moment of suspended migration for some time. But instead, this week, after an immense buildup, once again, we are being stalled from actually entering into the land of Israel. And instead of describing the invasion in an active voice, Moses recounts in a passive narrative a full-length summary of Exodus to Numbers. However, the final sentence of this week's Torah portion reveals exactly why. Recall or read the final sentence of this week's Torah portion from Deuteronomy chapter 3, verses 21 through 22. In these verses, the text describes the Israelites' hostile encounters with various tribes during their wanderings from Egypt throughout the wilderness. And Moses reassures them at this time of God's might. Moses states, "I have charged Joshua at this time, and you have seen with your own eyes all that the Eternal has done to those kings that have opposed Israel. So shall the Eternal do to all the kingdoms into which you will cross upon entering into the land. Do not fear them, for the Eternal is with you and will do battle for you." These 2 sentences are the closest thing that we come to feeling the pulse of the Israelites in this week's Torah portion. And the words, they convey a not-so-subtle message about what the Israelites were feeling. They were feeling fear at this time. After all, the Israelites had until now survived catastrophe after catastrophe and miracle after miracle. And as they looked upon the Promised Land, they knew it was already populated with many inhabitants. War was imminent. The land of Israel and our entry into it was being stalled as a result. And that's revealed in the final 2 sentences of this week's Torah portion. You see, fear is a powerful force. It can cripple us, it can depress us, it can make us anxious and move all at the same time. Recall how Joshua was imbued, though, by Moses to lead the people of Israel with a distinct vision. There was fear in Joshua's day, just as we may have fears today. Fear paralyzed a generation from departing the wilderness until Joshua's day, yet without the impetus of fearing the loss of something great, something like the Promised Land, for the wilderness, Joshua could not have led the people into the land of Israel. It took Joshua to stand up to people's fears and to assure them, we will make it through this, we will endure, we will survive, and the land of Israel was what we had dreamed and envisioned. We will have our fears everywhere in every walk of life. It is part of our nature as Jews inherently, and probably most other people. It's a joke. We're very neurotic in our fears, However, I wanted to take a moment in today's sermon to reassure everyone of our predecessors, just like our predecessors. We will endure, we will thrive, we will survive with a bright new future of tomorrow. And the impetus of change for our future in many ways has been this past dreaded plague which we have all endured. It has moved us. And so too, demographic shifts in Judaism have caused many other fears. But those fears have propelled new innovations and new visions for Jewish life. On the other side of this pandemic and the demographic shifts affecting Judaism as a whole, there will be a brighter, stronger community of Judaism congregations, and I look forward to leading one. Ken Yehi Ratzon.
Amen.
Before we go into our Misha Berach today, does anyone know what we're observing after Shabbos? Normally it comes on today's date. See, nod of the head. Yes, we actually have a few people now. Who wants to call out? Tisha B'Av, yes. Tisha B'Av. Normally we would be celebrating Tisha B'Av on today, not celebrating, but mourning the loss of the temple. Does anyone know what Tisha B'Av is an observance of? The loss of the Beis HaMikdash, the loss of the temple in Jerusalem. Not once, but twice. And also a series of other cataclysmic occurrences that happened in Jewish history, including the expulsion from Spain, some of the first trains going to Auschwitz also was happening, and the mass exodus that happened with Warsaw Ghetto was all planned on this date in history. However, today is Shabbos. And we do something that we wouldn't normally do on the normally when the day would fall this time of the year. If it'd be a day, whole, regular day, we would be fasting. But today, as it is Shabbos, we do not. And we're still commanded to enjoy Shabbos. In the days leading up to today, customarily we wouldn't eat meat as well. However, today that prohibition is lifted because we can still enjoy Shabbos. Shabbos will supersede all other occurrences. So, just wanted to mark today and bring that to everyone's attention because we're having a very special Shabbos today. We get to have one extra day where we get to enjoy meat before we have the fast, if you do so choose to fast. So we're in the process of updating our Misha Berach list right now. I have been given some requests for names to be read aloud. After these names have been read aloud, I'd like to ask anyone in our congregation if there are any additional name requests from our Misha Berach list to be read today. Today we have the following names for our Misha Berach: Ephraim Zipka, Asher Ephraim, Courtney Zabadik, Vicky X Hyatt, Linda Bloom, Elaine Blitz. Are there any additional name requests from anyone in our community here this evening? Yes.
Michael Berkowitz.
Michael Berkowitz.
And Yvette Zamos.
Yvette Zamos. Thank you.
Jeffrey Stein.
Jeffrey Stein.
And Jeffrey Koffler.
Jeffrey Koffler. Thank you. Is there another name request? Going once, twice? Two. Okay. So the Misha Berach can be, well, it's not in our Siddurim just yet, but we will have it added to our Siddurim. I'm going to open up the Ark. As I open up the Ark, please rise. Misha Berach Avotenu Nekor Habrecha Le'imotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu מקור חברך לאבותינו. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Okay. As we remain standing, we're going to turn to the Aleinu prayer. The Aleinu is on page 30 of our Siddurim, page 30. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, latet gedula liotzer breshit, shelo atzanu kiyel aratzot, velo samanu kimishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chalkenu kachem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, umishtachavim umoidim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu, shehu notesh shamayim v'yoser haaretz, Umoshev Yekaro Bashamayim Mima'al Ushchinatu zo Bigov Heimeroimim Hu Eloheinu Einod Emet Malkeinu Epezulato Kakatu Betorato Vayadata Hayom Vehoshevota Elavecha Ki Adonai Hua Elohim Bashamayim Mima'al V'yal haaretz mitzachad Ein od. Continue on page 31 and page 32 with the italicized text. We therefore hope in you, O eternal our God, soon to behold the splendor of your might. Then will false gods vanish from the earth, and the idols will be utterly cut off, to heal the world through the sovereignty of the Almighty. Then will all acclaim you as their God, and forsaking evil turn to you alone. Let all who dwell on earth acknowledge that unto you every knee must bend, and every tongue swear loyalty. Before you, O eternal our God, let them humble themselves to your glorious name, let them give honor. Let all accept the yoke of your dominion, that you may rule over them soon and forever. For the dominion is yours, and you will rule in glory, as it is written, the eternal will reign forever and ever. V'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz. Vayom hahu yihyeh Adonai echad, u'shemoho echad. You may be seated. I'd like to invite up Marilyn for our announcements, unless I don't know who we're after Kaddish. Okay, after Kaddish we'll do it. Mourner's Kaddish is on. We're going to wait after Kaddish. Mourner's Kaddish is on page 33. I'll be reciting names that have been provided to me for both our Yortzeit list as well as our recent passings. From recent passings, we have the following names: Ruth Lowenthal, Joyce Copen, Robert Pfeiffer, Benjamin Cohen, Judith Ellen Schuler, Philip Alstein, Stanley Taub, Steve Goldblum, Jacob George Tobel, Peter Lozana, Stan Perlman, David Schneider, Raphael Marcus, Florence Schneider, Sylvia Tannenbaum, Florence Gottmacher. Our Yortzeits for today continue with the following names: Louis Finkel, Billy Kahn, Arnold Golem, Rose Grant, Seymour Caspin, Harold Ackerman, Stanley Engel, Albert Flam, Joseph Schuster, Sidney Rabinowitz, Josephine Yochelson, Harry Bruce, Michael Sheckman, Jan Silverstone, Philip Raskell, Lou Nahimus, Jerry Esther Curlin, Frederick Schaaf, Fred Fisher. Are there any additional name requests from anyone in our community here? Yes.
Amanda Newman,
Ben
Rodriguez,
Rodriguez,
Fred Kellogg, Judy Merman, Warren Simon, and unfortunately there's a new name, McDonald Smith.
Are there any additional name requests from anyone in our community here? No. Okay, the words to the mourner's Kaddish can be found on page 33. If it is your custom, please rise. Again, we're on page 33. Yitkadal ve'yitkadash shemei rabah ve'alma dira chirutei ve'emlich malchutei ve'chayechon uvyomechon uvhaye dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman kariv ve'imru amen Yehei shmei rabah mevorach le'olam ulamei almaya Yitbarach ve'yishtabach ve'yitpa'ar ve'yitramam ve'yitnaseh V'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudusha b'rechu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'yaran v'yalma v'imru amen Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen Oseh shalom b'imramav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort all who are bereaved, and let us say, Amen. Amen. You may be seated.
Thank you.
You lost your job because you weren't here last week.
I gladly concede.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbos.
So tomorrow, August 6th, Shabbat worship and Torah study at 9:30, Shabbat worship at 10:30. The congregational picnic is next Sunday, but we would like people to sign up by this weekend, this Sunday or Monday at the latest. Got about 20-something people coming, so it should be fun. If we have enough kids, there'll be games, prizes, plenty of food. There's no charge for it. Interfaith Tea is on Wednesday, August 24th at 6 p.m. at the Reformed Church of Spotswood. Rabbi Leslie will be speaking. The topic this month is about how our houses of worship welcome people of LGBTQ background. Social action on Zoom on August 10th. The blood drive's August 28th, and Hebrew school registration and meet and greet the teachers is on September 7th at 4:30. First day of Hebrew school is Wednesday, September 14th, and we're having an open house brunch for new member drive on September 11th. There'll be more information on the website and the weekly about the open house. Shabbat Shalom.
Good Shabbos. All right. Thank you for those announcements. And now we are going to join together for Adon Olam on page 34. Adon Olam Asher Malach V'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Li'et Nasa B'chezo Kol Azai Mehelech Shemo Nikra V'yacharei Kitlot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora V'hu Haya V'hu Hove V'hu Yiyeh B'tzifara V'hu Echad V'yein Sheni Lecham Shilo Lechach Bira B'li Reshit B'li Tachli V'lo ha'oz v'hamizra v'chu eli v'chaya goali v'tzor chevli v'yesara v'chu nisi umanos li menat kosi b'yom ekra b'ya'ado avkid ruchi v'yet ishan v'ya'ira Ve'im ruchi geviati Adonai li velo ira. Good Shabbos, everyone. Good Shabbos. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. We're going to join together for the Kiddush and the Motzi. Anyone would like to volunteer for the Kiddush today? We got a volunteer. All right. Very good. All right. We'll join together for the. We'll be joining over for the Kiddush very shortly. So see you soon. You got a question? Go ahead.
I just want to say how beautiful it is that despite our fears, trepidations, like with Tisha B'Av, we postpone it because Shabbat joy supersedes it.
Yes, it does. It does. Yep. Yeah. That's why we. Yeah, that's why we can eat meat actually on Shabbos today as opposed to this 9-day period